Hello, and welcome to these quick tips on reviewing conference papers for the 2025 International System Dynamics Conference. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you to the program chairs from 2023 who really set this up, and from 2024 who've improved upon it, and this year we've made a few additions. This year's conference chairs are Kareem Shishakli, Nyusha Hossein Ichima, and myself, Rod McDonald. So here are some helpful hints, and this is not meant to be comprehensive, but just to point you in the right direction. And you should start out your review by summarizing the key points that the author is making. And these authors have written these papers for a wider audience, and your job is to review this and identify what the authors are saying. And it's helpful in a number of ways. One, it's going to be helpful for the shred shares. It's going to be helpful for the program shares to have these summaries. But it's also reflecting back to the authors what the reader is getting out of their paper. And so that should be a summary up front that identifies the key points and describes the problem that the paper is addressing. And I've got the second bullet in here, identify the strengths or what you liked. And the idea here is you want to start out on a positive note, or we're hoping you would start out on a positive note by identifying the things that you liked in the paper or the strength of the paper. One of the questions you should also be thinking about when reviewing the papers is whether they are clear and easy to read. And by this, we don't mean that is their grammar correct, or is their English correct? A lot of folks participating in the conference are going to have English as their second or even third language. You're not an editor for them, you're a reviewer. So the story that they're telling, can you follow it with the language that they're using? And if you can't, you can report back to the authors that perhaps they should work on some editing. But the key here is it readable is what we're really looking for. The next thing is, do the methods and the analysis match? And are the conclusions consistent with the evidence and the arguments that are being presented? And do they really address the problem that's identified? And you can imagine as you're going through this that you're looking at a causal loop diagram. And as an example, they could be showing 3 balancing feedback loops and then be relating it to a graph that is growing exponentially. And as a system dynamicist, we know that you should have a reinforcing feedback loop to generate that type of behavior. So there's sort of a mismatch between the story and the figures they're using. So you really want to be thinking about, are the figures appropriate for the story that they're telling, and does this logically fit together? And the last one here is, do you have suggestions for additional literature, right? Is the literature appropriate for our field and for the work that they're doing? And are there additional suggestions that you could make for what they should be reading that would contribute to their paper or help them make a better argument? Now, this slide was done by previous conference chairs, and they've pulled together a number of reviews that they felt were extremely good. And when I show these to you, I'm just going to go over them very briefly. You can see that they're color coordinated. And they're emphasizing the things that I've been emphasizing in this video. The idea of being courteous. You want to be supportive to the authors. Summarizing the paper. Making suggestions. And again, doing this in a respectful manner. And then additional resources that might be useful to the people and to the research that they are doing. This is an example of a previous review that was considered well done. And it's been cut and abbreviated so that it would fit into a slide. But you can see how it's been highlighted with the key I just showed you, where people are being courteous, where they're being helpful, where they're making suggestions. And this is the type of review that we're hoping to get from folks. People are submitting 3 types of papers to the conference. There are research papers, which are between 5,000 and 10,000 words, and which are formal papers you're typically seeing submitted to journals. There are practitioner applications, which could be just a set of slides. It could be relatively brief. These are from people who are working in the field and doing work for clients. So it's going to be on a bit of a different scale. And then there are going to be works in progress, which could be very short pieces where people are explaining what they're doing and what they hope to have accomplished by the time the conference starts. So when you're looking at these, you're going to want to sort of put on a different hat. You're going to have to fill in the blanks. Hopefully the reviews will be a summary, even if it's a practitioner application and it's just a set of slides you're looking at. There should be a clear problem statement. When you look at the slides, you should be able to summarize what that talk would be about. And it goes the same for the work in progress, although the standards are going to be a bit different. And it'll be up to the thread chairs and to the program chairs to look at all these and decide where they're going. This next slide contains a link to Wiley's Guide for Reviewers. We're not recommending that you look at this or anything, but it's a great resource, and we just wanted to make that available to you in case you were interested. And I just want to say on behalf of the program committee and the chairs and the System Dynamics Society that thank you for reviewing these papers. The quality is extremely important, and the ability to get good feedback on the work that folks have been doing is important. It's going to promote the field. And again, thank you very much for all you do. It really is appreciated. And I hope to see you at the conference in August in Boston. Thanks and bye.